Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Knox County Ethics Committee Subcommittee on review of policies and procedures for the County of Knox. I would like to call the roll. Mr. Byron Wood. Here. And I can't read that far. Miss Carletta, not here. Mr. Goodpaster? Here. Here. Miss Gibson? Here. Mr. Kennedy? Here. Mr. Stinnett? Here. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Quorum is defined as a majority of your voting members, so as long as you have 3 of your voting members here, then you have a quorum.
Wonderful. We have, for the record, we have 4. I'm going to jump out of order here a little bit and elect, well, first of all, add something to the, I'm just going to say this, I'm not adding anything to the agenda. I would like us to consider where we get our wisdom and our trust from, and I'd like to just briefly read from Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to the Lord, and he will make your path straight. I hope that we consider that today as we do the good work of the people of the County of Knox. I would like to propose electing a vice chair. The vice chair would be here, hopefully present at all meetings, but in the case that the chair is not present, the vice chair could take over. And I would like to put forth the name for consideration of Miss Crystal Gibson. Could we have a nomination, a formal nomination?
May I interrupt first?
Yes.
I would love to, but do we need to consider whether or not I will be here at all of them? Just due to my work schedule, I'm going to do my very best, but in the event I'm not able to, just because of the way I
you
work
can
it.
decline doing this, so it's up to you.
I would really love to, but I don't want to put you in a bind and have to have somebody to fill in for me.
All right.
In the event I couldn't be here. Thank you so much, though.
So we'll withdraw that. Due to sunshine laws, just for everybody's, we can't discuss that ahead of time, so that's why it's a surprise to Ms. Gibson, but thank you so much. Would anybody like to raise their hand to be vice chair, because everyone else here is qualified?
I just need to say that I cannot attend the next meeting. I have training, so I'll have to be out. So.
All right, all right. And it can be voting or non-voting members, correct?
Yes, I see no reason why the vice chair cannot be a non-voting member offhand, with the understanding they can't vote, even if they're leading the meeting. But also, it might be a little better to let a non-voting member be the secretary and have a voting member as the chair, as the vice chair.
Thank you so much, wise counsel. Thank you, Mr. Wood, for volunteering to be vice chair. Or are you okay with that, sir? I mean, it's not final, we have to vote, but I'm asking if you'd be in consideration of vice chair. Wonderful, you get a special hat and everything. We should have a formal, I'm only suggesting it, so we need a formal nomination on the floor.
Make a nomination.
Fantastic. Second?
I'll second.
Wonderful. All those in favor of Mr. Byron Wood as vice chair of the subcommittee, respond by saying aye. 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 Those nay. Those opposed nay. The ayes carry. Mr. Wood, thank you so much. The next one would be secretary, and we do need help with somebody taking notes today as the clerk. The clerk is absent today. Are there any nominations on the floor for secretary? I want everyone to settle down and stop jumping for this one.
I'm happy to do my best to serve in that regard.
Mr. Goodpaster, fantastic. Is there a nomination? Wonderful. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Wood. Mr. Sanders, do you have a observation before we move forward?
Sure, yes, I do. One, I think Mr. Goodpasture indicated he's not going to be here at the next meeting, so you'll need someone to sub it in for him. And secondly, just for clarification, as far as I know, the clerk is not going to be at any of these subcommittee meetings.
Okay.
As far as I know, their view is that their job is to take minutes for the committee, but not the subcommittee. So if you all want to address that formally with the powers that be, so be it. Otherwise, you'll need someone to be secretary to record your minutes for all of these subcommittee meetings.
I appreciate your clarity on that, and that's something I wasn't aware of and I can address offline. So, Mr. Goodpasture, first of all, we have a nomination and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes carry. Thank you, Mr. Goodpasture, for serving and for taking notes today. You'll do just great. Thank you so much. This brings us on the agenda to the consideration of the comprehensive review and revision of the Knox County Code of Ethics. Put forward within the agenda was our current Code of Ethics, and then also along with that was the resolution by Commissioner Frazier and unanimously supported by the commissioners of the County of Knox. Before we do that, Mr. Goodpasture, or anybody on the floor, did you have any comments did anybody have any comments as far as scope of our mission? Because that's what I want to focus on today for the benefit of the public, for the benefit of the committee, is our scope, so that from there we can agree on our scope and then get that information out. I'm looking at the IT genius. Get that information out to the public and to the committee for us to entertain in the next. Any comments on the scope?
I think my question would be is, how can we best share information and warehouse the information and assess what information exists? The focus of our analysis here or work, is it only to the specific Knox County Code of Ethics as a document that it was revised on August 27th of 2018, or is it perhaps beyond that? I think assessing to see what universe exists first is a helpful thing.
And do you have anything to present in addition to the Code of Ethics at this point?
I've done some research already and put together a database. We thought that would be here today. It is not, and so I'll have to present that later. But it was just essentially like a web crawl research of anything that had to do with Knox County ethics, and it's built into a table. Chairman, I believe, has it, Debbie Stafford. So I will get that and have it available to the group as soon as possible. However, we can submit it. Can I email that, or?
If you're asking about public records law, or public meetings law, open meetings law, the best practice is to send it through a third party. If you send it to Ms. Bennett here, I would think she can at least just transmit it without comment to the rest of the committee. That way, okay. There's no suggestion that there's emailing going on among the members outside of this forum. But, that's kind of the limit of what we can do, Okay. Now, and if it's just a table of data, there wouldn't be any commentary, really.
No, sir, there's not.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So what I understand, Mr. Sanders, is that anybody on the committee could submit to Ms. Bennett anything for the next meeting. We, again, can't discuss anything in between. It would be presented to the next meeting for discussion, open meeting.
Yes, that's right. We can serve as a clearinghouse to forward emails so that nobody's violating open meetings. But we can't, obviously people can't then reply and say, hey, pass this along to someone else. We can't serve as a proxy for a debate. So all we can do is, pass on information, and then that information would need to be discussed in open meeting.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just for clarity, all members, please, anything that you see in the purview of this subcommittee, please send to Ms. Rhonda, and then that will be disseminated to the committee ahead of time and part of the next agenda, and then we can discuss that at the next meeting and decide and vote on if that's within our purview or not. Does that sound fair, Mr. Sanders?
It does, and to be clear, anything you do in that respect would be subject to open records law. So anybody, a member of the press, member of the public, could request a copy of that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I just want to clarify one thing about that. So if we were to, and I might be getting ahead of the game, but if we were to come up with a draft, like, reading over the current rules or guidelines in place, and maybe each one of us, if that's what we were going to do, just, do some changes or some suggestions and stuff so that we would be able to review others' thoughts prior to the meeting, we could send that to Ms. Rhonda, and that wouldn't be a violation for her to disseminate prior to the meeting?
So that's getting into, I would see no problem with any member of this committee submitting his or her own thoughts about what should be changed, with the understanding that any deliberation about that happens in open forum, and that the draft itself that you submitted is subject to open records law. Having said that, you certainly could not do a multiple person red line or Google Doc where one person makes some changes and then somebody else looks at it and says, well, here are my changes to your changes, et cetera, because that's really getting into deliberation. That's what the open meeting is for, rather than essentially if everybody passed the document along and started making changes and comments on it, pretty soon you're effectively doing a deliberation in private.
Yeah, I would just like to get a grasp on where everybody's thought process is, because we're so limited on time with our meetings. And I'm not, no deliberation or anything like that, but like if Mr. Goodpasture had went through and redlined his document, if in the event he did that and sent it to Rhonda and she sent it out and I could look at it prior to the meeting, I would have time to review that and compare that with what my own notes without.
So we're skirting on the edge there. I think if Mr. Goodpasture sent a red line of what the current document is and it was promulgated to the committee, that would be all right. If you then sent a red line of the document and promulgated it to the committee, that would be all right. However, I think I would draw the line, so to speak, at your making comments or further revising what Mr. Goodpasture did.
I'm just talking on my own, and like just me comparing his to mine. No discussion with
And
anybody.
you can think all you want,
Oh.
but
Yeah.
but again, if you start communicating
Correct.
either directly or by proxy through our office,
Right.
at that point you're violating open meetings
Right.
law.
Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Sure.
Wonderful. So we can submit thoughts. You can submit things that you feel should be added to the scope. All of those are fine. Will be available for public record, but discussion and deliberation will take place at our next meeting in November. Does that sound fair? Because I'm all with you and I want to move things along and have great open communication. So right now, for consideration of this subcommittee, one, I wanted to, and for the benefit of the public, wanted to, again, remind everybody, if you go to Commissioner Frazier's resolution, it actually states the Ethics Committee is encouraged to, so I'd like us to consider our charge here. So this is page 2, section 2. The Ethics Committee is encouraged to evaluate the adequacy and clarity of the existing provisions, review best practices from other jurisdictions and applicable state ethics standards, consider public input and recommendations from commissioners and county officials, propose specific amendments, included but not limited to expanding definitions and applications of ethical behavior, enhancing rules related to gifts, political contributions, and campaign financing that could be recognized as a contributing factor in county decision-making, clarifying conflict of interest procedures and disclosure requirements, addressing employment restrictions and nepotism involving elected officials, clarifying the process of filing and considering an ethical complaint, implement a 5-year review of ethics policies, and Finally, establishing stronger enforcement and training mechanisms. So with that, as you consider submitting things to Rhonda and also in preparation for our next meeting, please, I encourage you to look at our county website. I encourage you to look at other jurisdictions. I encourage you there will be some things that I'll be submitting from County Technical Assistance Service through UT. There are things out there like the CTAS, that's the County Technical Assistance Service Model Ethics Policy 2022, county ethics policies. The U.S. House of Representatives has an ethics policy. We don't have to get too deep, but we have options, is what I'm saying. Mr. Sanders?
Yeah, I did want to just note for the entire committee, just so you all don't feel sandbagged if I don't mention this.
Please.
Now. There are a few parameters that you need to be aware of. First of all, there is a state law on point that says the term ethical standards does not include personnel or employment policies.
Good move.
So you can define what nepotism, for instance, is, but I don't think you're going to be able to say you shall not hire your nephew or something like that. That's a personnel or employment policy, and that kind of thing is going to be off the table. Secondly, there's again issues that are under criminal purview, criminal conduct are going to be the purview of the Attorney General and not the Ethics Committee. So as soon as it becomes something that's criminal conduct or under the state comptroller, they're going to reach down and take control of that. That's not something that the Ethics Committee is going to have jurisdiction over. And finally, I just want you to be aware, this is not a prohibition on you doing something different, but the way the law is written, the entity that I call CTAS, the County Technical Advisory Service, all municipal bodies are responsible for having an ethics policy. You have sort of two choices. One is you follow the model policy issued by CTAS for counties, MTAS for cities. And if you follow that, you're sort of done. All you gotta do is submit it and say we're following it. If you want to add to it or do something different, then you have to submit your proposed policies to the State Ethics Board, and they have to review and come back and okay it. So I just want you to be clear that if you decide to move beyond what the model policies are, you then have another hurdle to jump. Or the county has another hurdle to jump. It'd probably be a recommendation by the full ethics committee, and I suppose at that point it would go up to the state, and then it would come back. If they got the okay, then the county commission could vote on it. But I presume that's the way it would go. I've not really looked into exactly how that would go, but there would be another line of review if you decided to deviate from what the CTAS issues as a model rule.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Biddle.
Sir,
May I
Mr.
pose a
Goodpasture.
question to Mr. Sanders? Sir, the standing ethics code, would you say that it fits?
It is, in fact, the standing ethics code is, in fact, based upon the model rules of CTAS. So that's the way we've done it for years. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but that's the way we've done it for years. So I understand there's going to be another hurdle to cross if you decide to deviate from that. Now, whether our standing ethics code reflects the 2022 revisions that Mr. Biddle referred to, I don't know. It's just not something I've looked at to see when we last updated our ethics code.
It looks like the last revision was 2018, August 27, 2018, which puts us 4 years out from those 22.
Okay, as you know, I'm new to sitting with this committee, and I don't know, one of the things I did not pay attention to was when the last time we updated the county ethics code.
We revised it in 18.
Okay, it was revised in 18, Ms. Bennett says. She's been here longer than I have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. All right, so can we agree as an entity to submit to Ms. Bennett anything that we feel would be relevant to the scope of our work going forward? before the next meeting?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that. So the standing code is an exact replica of their recommendations, or how, I'm sorry,
No, not
I'm
a
easily
problem.
confused. I just want to make sure, since we're a home
Absolutely.
rule county, that it is not, because if that's the case, then if we
I
can't change
thought-
anything, then we just need to look at what they have currently in place and then go from there. Just go, yeah, I was just trying to clarify that.
Sure, so I don't know whether I know that we use the model rules as our basis, but I don't know whether it is a word-for-word reflection or whether there are, minor insertions and deletions that still remain within the spirit of the model rule. And I'd have to do a line-by-line comparison, so to speak. I do know, just apocryphally, that or anecdotally, I guess is a better term, the last time there was a consideration of serious changes, what happened was the committee decided to change its procedures as opposed to the code. If you notice that we have not only an ethics code, but we have a set of ethics procedures as well. And that is what got changed, I think, the last time we went through a similar process. So that way, and that's not subject to state law. We can do sort of what we want as far as that goes. And as far as our being a charter form of government, I'm not aware that that makes a difference as far as the ethics laws are concerned.
I think, following Crystal's point there, that if it seems like it's easier to develop or follow CTAS, then we should be looking at that most recent CTAS and see how it fits. Because why go trying to do something creatively when this is the realm you got to deal with, or at least we got those parameters. So
Absolutely, which is, so I will submit to Ms. Bennett immediately the CTAS and what I downloaded to share with the rest of the committee. Okay, and she will in turn share with the rest of the committee. So the CTAS, just a little further discussion on that. What I hear is from Mr. Sanders, our wise counsel, is that we need to parallel anything within our code of ethics has to parallel the CTAS recommendations.
If I could clarify, you do not have to. It is easier to. But you can write your own code of ethics. It's just if you do, you then have to submit it to the state for review.
Thank you for the clarity. Thank you for the clarity. The second piece to that, so are we all good with that? We'll review our current code of ethics for the County of Knox and compare that to the CTAS 2022 recommendations for at least a starting point. That doesn't box us in, but at least a starting point. Does that sound fair, Mr. Stinnett? Okay. Everybody all right? The part two is what Mr. Sanders had brought up, and I think where Mr. Goodpasture was going partially was the procedures thereof, which, Mr. Sanders, you said were not codified by CTAS, or we weren't limited in our scope by any means.
As far as I know, no. So the CTAS does not address procedures. Now, of course, you are limited in scope in some broad ways, procedural due process and that sort of thing. But, it's not a state statute that is an issue. It's just what are good ideas and to conform with the basic rules of law and due process, which, was worked on fairly heavily a few years ago. And there's some pretty good procedures here. I bet you all are obviously the determiners of that, whether you want to stick with these or not.
Wonderful. So we'll also forward those to Ms. Bennett and forward those procedures onto the subcommittee. I'd encourage everyone on the subcommittee to submit anything, as Ms. Gibson had outlined, any proposed changes, but also other ethics policies in the state of Tennessee that follow CTAS. Did I do good there? That follow CTAS. Please submit those and compare on your own homework I would suggest other municipalities within the great state of Tennessee, that not only with our code, but also the procedures that might give us some ideas and some parallel of where we can go and what we could suggest for changes. Does that sound fair? So today, just as a reminder to the subcommittee, this was to set forth the footprint and agree on what we're going to do going forward, since this is our first meeting. And again, that can change as we go. But Ms. Bennett, have we put too much work on you, or as our clearinghouse? We're going to call you Rhonda Clearinghouse Bennett.
What I understand, and David can correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you all have any documents that you want me to forward, you will send those to me attached to your email. I will then forward that email to each member of the subcommittee. And then we will go from there. But you cannot send me a copy of what you sent redlined with changes and then me send it back to the committee. It has to be your own copy of what we're changing, redlined, and then I will send it out to each. So you may end up with 7 copies that you will have.
And I would further suggest that when we meet publicly, that those changes be made simply as attachments to your next agenda, so that way the public would be aware of what people looked at.
Wonderful. I agree. And just to reiterate, no communication with each other, no communication with each other on the emails or in person or via phone, and no commenting on other people's work to the subcommittee until our next full public meeting. Cool beans? All right. Copy that. Wonderful. Wonderful. I open the subcommittee to any other questions or observations regarding number 4 in the agenda, consideration of the comprehensive review and revision of the Knox County Code of Ethics. The floor is yours. Just from a standpoint of we're still focused on what we're going to do going forward. I want to make sure I'm not closing the door or leaving anything out. Have we covered everything moving forward, and do we all have clarity? Wonderful, wonderful. All right, I'm going to close number 4. I encourage you all to get things to Ms. Bennett, and thank you, Ms. Bennett, for all your work, hard work. And I also want to give a credit to Mr. Sanders for his wise counsel and on the procedures and our what we're doing moving forward, not only at today's meeting, but as always. So thank you, Mr. Sanders.
Can I back up just a little bit? I always do this. You're going to fire me. At the last meeting, we had discussed when it comes to consideration for the review and revisions, and we had talked about maybe public input, and I think we covered that just a little bit. We touched on it, but is that some mechanism we're going to reach out to somebody with IT to like push information out, or am I getting too far into the weeds at this point?
No, of course not. You are not at all. You are not at all. So we'll need Mr. Kennedy's help, but also we need to discuss and have Mr. Sanders opine on what we can post and where we can post it, because I want to keep the public informed. I think number 1 is, as Ms. Bennett receives things, Mr. Sanders, when do we post things? So we're going to have subcommittee. I'm just going to go down the path here. We're going to have individual members of the subcommittee between now and the next meeting submitting things to Ms. Bennett, and Ms. Bennett in turn will be forwarding those documents to members of the subcommittee. When do those become public? How do those become public? Does that help?
How do we push information out to the public
Correct.
that we're even having subcommittee meetings? I know the committee meeting, and I know it's all public record and it's published, but is there a mechanism for us specifically so that they'll be like, oh, the ethics committee is meeting. Here's the link to go look at the ethics committee's agenda for the subcommittee. Does that make sense?
It does, it does. So number 1, we notice, right, Ms. Bennett? We notice publicly.
We notice, and what you see on your agenda
That's part one. That's part one. Part two, and I think what you're getting at is, how do we fully engage and communicate with the public what we're doing?
Yes, correct. And if we're truly open and seeking their input, how do we get that? How do they reach us? Because we discussed it last time, we don't have county emails, we don't have, for obvious reasons, we can't talk about anything, but how do we know if they want to bring something to our attention, how do they reach us? How do we push that out to them? Am I talking in circles?
No?
No, I think you're right on. I think what we can do is we can look at creating a shared inbox that IT can come up with, ethics.committee@knoxcounty.org or something like that. And we could have a couple people that are in there, Rhonda, maybe myself also. It's kind of a central repository to where if somebody does have a comment or something, then we could then disperse that out. Or we could create even like an open forum like the county commission has. And this is what I'm thinking. I slightly disagree with the idea that we can't have a living, breathing Word document where we can make comments. Because and as long as you have that out in the public, we can have a website that possibly hosts that, or have a web page on the Knox County website that hosts that, where you have live, immediate comments. So where if Mr. Goodpasture makes a comment or makes a suggestion on something, and Byron makes a suggestion on something, or I do, or you do, whoever it is, it's all right there. The deliberation's wide open. Everybody can see it. It's not like anybody's going behind the scenes, but it seems to me a little bit more efficient versus us ping-ponging 10 different documents back and forth, and with a 120-day mark, I'm not sure that that's going to be feasible if we continue to do that.
Right.
Let's leverage technology to our advantage while still being open and honest with everyone. So look at redoing the website to create something along those lines, and I can talk to IT. Timing of it is what's going to be tricky because they've got all sorts of projects that they're working on too right now. So how quick in the pipeline we could get something like that, I can work on that and find out.
Mr. Sanders, do you have any comment on that? Because I want to make sure, I want us to err is the wrong word, but I'd like us to be as open as possible with the public. And I like where Ms. Gibson and Mr. Kennedy are going.
So to address what Mr. Kennedy is saying specifically, I understand what he's saying, and I don't see how that would violate open records law, but I do want to check because I'm aware that the county commission does do something like that. However, I'm aware of no other deliberative bodies in Knox County that do that. And we have, for instance, a very robust school board with lots of members who have lots of opinions, but they don't do something like that. So I want to be sure that that's not a provision that is limited to county commission to do. It may or it may not be. Now, secondly, I will just interject, this is not a legal opinion, it's just a practical issue. I think you may run in with IT, there may be costs associated with that. And I don't think the committee, Ms. Stafford or so, I may need to go to county commission and ask for a budget to do some of this. I don't think this committee has the funds to support something with that costs money. I mean, IT is going to want to get paid for what they're doing. I mean, just budgetarily within the county. And as far as what Ms. Gibson, you're going to have to repeat to me what the questions Ms. Gibson had so that I understand what I'm being asked to give an opinion about.
Yes, sir. Ms. Gibson?
Well, we had discussed seeking input from the public. And, if they wanted to reach us, so it's probably a compound question. Number one, which he covered a little bit, how will they reach us? Well, if we have that blanket email, I guess if they had comments or questions, they could submit them, just like I won't reevaluate that. But if they wanted to reach out and give us input, how is that mechanism working? And I think that you covered that with the provisions, and we're not sure. So we're going to check into that just to see, because, if county commission can have an open discussion board seeking input that's active, and we are communicating and everybody can see that at any time, 24/7. I think that if you could just find out if that would be something that would be feasible for us and it wouldn't be a violation, that would be the best mechanism so that we aren't, no pun intended, handcuffing ourselves to limiting our communication when we're all very open to being in the public, letting them see what we're doing. We're just kind of, limited without being able to talk outside of, one meeting a month.
Right, so what I could tell you is, one, that again, I will, of course, check with Mr. Kennedy, too, regarding Mr. Kennedy's proposal of that open of the living document, whether we can do that like County Commission does, because I'm not sure whether we can or not. Second, I realize what you're asking more of a process that goes beyond legal questions. The legal answer to your question is the burden's somewhat on the public to take notice and to do something. That is, we publish the agenda, and it's up to a robust press and to caring citizens to come in if they have an opinion and state it. We have a public forum on the agenda. I don't see anybody here ready to speak on public forum. So, but you have fulfilled your legal requirement to give people the opportunity to speak. Also, you individually, not as a committee, but individually, can reach out to whoever you want. If you want to email all your friends and neighbors and say, I'm doing this, please let me know your ideas, that's fine. That's good citizenship. That's democracy in action. But the problem comes if you and Mr. Kennedy together decide to go hold a forum about it in your, let's have a neighborhood meeting and we're both going to be there together and talk about it. As long as you're doing it alone, you're welcome to do what you want. Now, also, I will mention, just in terms of public records law, we were asked by the press some time ago to divulge your email addresses. We cannot, as a matter of public records law, the county cannot divulge private email addresses to the public. We did divulge those people who are employed by Knox County, but there's nothing to say that if you personally want to publish on your social media account, for instance, I'm a member of this subcommittee and here's my email address, please contact me. Feel free. We can't do it, but you can. And that would go as far as your home address and your telephone number as well.
Ms. Gibson, any further?
Now listen, I'm a deep thinker. What if I share all that and then it gets shared by somebody who then somebody sees it from the subcommittee and they comment on somebody else's post? Is that me just thinking crazy like that? That's technically, I know we're not communicating with each other, but we're still commenting. So that's where my mind goes with stuff like that.
I'm sorry.
Please, Mr. Sanders.
That's a great question, and I've cautioned my deliberative bodies that I work with not to do that. Yeah. Do not comment on social media posts and ask for that very reason, because once you commented on it and then Mr. Kennedy comments on it and Mr. Goodpasture throws in his idea, all of a sudden you're having deliberation. Right. So don't do that.
Here's where, just me personally, and please push back or add on. It is so important for the public to be involved, not only in this, but in anything that the county does. We do post this, we do have public forum time, and I really encourage the public to be active and participate in that public forum time. Anybody with any comments has up to 3 minutes to opine, comment, suggest changes, and so on. So I really, really encourage the public to do that, to attend our meetings. Other than that, again, as you heard Mr. Sanders say, I personally am not going to comment at all. That's my own personal preference. I'm not going to comment at all publicly outside this meeting because I don't want to run afoul of work product of anything. But again, come on here. Come on here and comment and be a part of this process that we call America. Yeah. I'm all for that. So For the record, along the public forum time and for the benefit, is this meeting public right now? I mean, not, it is being. Woo-hoo! Hey, brother. With that, Ms. Bennett, would you happen to have the dates of the forward meetings, just so that we can let the public know? And I don't mean to put you on the spot. If you have something hidden, and you know what, I may be able to find it too. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much. All right, just for the record, for the public and for the benefit of our committee, Friday, November 7 is our next meeting. And then, so that's Friday, November 7 at 8:30 right here again. And then Wednesday, December 3rd, 8:30 right here again in the main, in the main assembly room here at the City County Building. So November 7, December 3rd, both at 8:30 a.m. Both have opportunities for, thank you so much, both have opportunities for public comment and public forum. That will be on every agenda moving forward. Okay. Do we have any further comments regarding consideration of comprehensive review and revision of the Knox County Code of Ethics? If there being none, I would like to go to the public forum portion of this, of the agenda. Ms. Bennett, are you aware, do we have any public comment or anybody signed up?
I have not. Well, we do not have anyone signed up. I mean, they were to be here at the meeting.
Absolutely. All right. Ma'am in the back, anything you'd like to say? Good morning. Good morning. And just for the public, there's like 500 people here, or one. But we do encourage you to come on out and join us on 8:30 in the morning. And thank you to the gentleman up there streaming this live, to our friends and neighbors out there. Thank you, brother. All right. So at this time, I'm going to close public forum and public comment. Before we adjourn, is there anything else here to address? We have things to do between now and the next meeting. Those, if you're all in agreement, is to submit to Ms. Bennett any documents that you feel are relevant to our goal here of reviewing the policies and procedures. Mr. Sanders, not to put more work on your plate at all, but if you see anything, it does. Did you like that? Two more ladlefuls of gruel, please. We have in our hands the Code of Ethics. If you see anything regarding procedures that we might miss, is that something that you could? Right here.
You have the procedures in
Yep.
your notebook. I have to find them here, but they're.
That's great. I just like clarity and like to know where we're at.
So Ms. Bennett's telling me they're under the procedures. They're also amended 82718. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding them
That's okay.
physically in my notebook at the moment, but
Mr. Sanders,
right here. Okay, thank you, Ms. Bennett, help me. So, yeah, Knox County Ethics Rules Committee Rules of Procedure, they're right here.
Ms. Bennett, could you include those?
The next time.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I assume that you would have been issued them when you became a member of the
It's in
committee.
your notebook.
I did, but here's what I learned a long time ago. When I say yellow, you and I have a different definition of yellow. And what I like to do is make sure this is exactly what we're all looking at. So we do have them in the book. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else that we needed to be aware of. They're under the tab Rules. I don't have my
Procedure.
glasses. Rules of Procedure.
Process.
Or process.
Maybe.
Oh, see?
Well, okay.
Process.
Process. So the title, though, is Knox County Ethics Committee Rules of Procedures. That's the document. Ms. Bennett will be sending that out. Thank you, thank you. Wonderful. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Well, just looking at that, that's dated the same. So 8/27/18, Knox County Ethics Committee Rules of Procedures, amended September 13, 2018. That, should we also look at those to see if CTASC is, if the updated one, is that something that maybe we'll cover next time?
No, we should cover it now.
Just, if we're looking to see the updates to the current code of ethics, mirroring what we're legally.
So I think Mr. Sanders, and please correct me if I'm wrong, said that we're not constrained, might not be the right word, but we're not constrained by CTAS on the procedures.
Those are different, correct?
Yes, those are
Okay,
different.
Okay.
But what I would encourage is looking at other municipalities and other avenues through that wonderful tool called Google or DuckDuckGo, and for us to suggest anything that might parallel that, to submit to Ms. Bennett as well. And Ms. Gibson, thank you so much for your continued questions, and they are so welcomed. They are so welcome. Thank you. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
Got a quick question,
Please, Mr. Kennedy.
mainly for Mr. Sanders. I can talk to IT about redoing the website a little bit and creating a kind of a portal, if you will, like we have our HR complaint portal, something similar, maybe not a complaint for ethics, but ideas or suggestions that would dump into an inbox. And they can create a draft web page that only certain people would be able to have access to, because it's just a test page before it would go live. Would that be okay to send out to people once we get that URL, just to the subcommittee, so they can just take a look at it?
Sure, I think you could send that out to the subcommittee to take a look at, sure.
Sure, okay, perfect.
One thing I'd encourage on anything, if you're suggesting changes, one of the things I would suggest is, and I think Ms. Gibson brought it up, redline things. The worst thing in the world for me is, here's a clean copy of the old one, here's a clean copy of the new one, and then you've got to cross over. No bueno. No bueno. So redline, I would encourage redline on anything you submit as far as suggestions and changes. All right. At this point, public forum is closed. One more time, anything for the good of the order. Mr. Goodpaster.
Yes, sir. I just say that for my work as a secretary, I
Yes.
will type this up and submit them to, should I submit them to you or submit them straight to Ms. Rhonda?
I would do both.
Both? Okay, I'll copy.
You want to forward, and I will forward those out to the committee? Is that what you're
Yes.
asking?
Yeah,
So that I forward it on?
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Probably ought to be an agenda item next time for approval of the minutes from this meeting.
Yes. And many thanks to you, Mr. Goodpaster. And you won't be here at the next meeting?
Yes, sir. I won't have training all day in Nashville, so I apologize for that, but that was set up long before all this.
I understand. Ms.
And,
Gibson, you will not be here next meeting?
I was just pulling up my color-coded calendar to look.
Mr. Wood, will you be present next meeting? Like, if we start at 8:30, 8:31, you have to leave, or can you give us a little more time? Okay, yeah, we'll be fine, sir. We'll be fine. Look forward to seeing you, Ms. Gibson.
I am off, but on night shift the day before, so I will be here and
All right.
hopefully awake.
We anticipate a quorum, and we will, whether we have a quorum or not, we will still meet. We just can't take any action, is the key to that, and that's why I was pressing upon who will be here as a voting member. And of course, we want our two gentlemen here, as always, with wise counsel and input. Yeah, there you go. Well, you and I are going to become quick friends if you win the lottery. All right, Mr. Goodpaster.
One more question, please, sir. As far as technology, there is this thumb drive that I had collected a lot of data, and the reason I put it on that is because it wouldn't email. Are we using some sort of cloud communication that I can upload that file to, or else I'm gonna go get it and I'm gonna drive it back downtown and bring it to Ms. Rhonda?
Rhonda, I could create a OneDrive folder and we could share that link. I can do that.
Share it like that,
Okay. Yeah,
How will that work?
I'll create it and I'll share it with you, and then I can also share it externally with Mr. Goodpasture. And he'll get an email with a link to that, just that specific folder. Yes, yes, yep.
Perfect,
Does
thank
that
you.
help, Mr. Goodpasture?
That saves a little bit of gas.
It-
We
it
appreciate
does.
it. Yeah, thank
It
you.
does. And thank you. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Gibson? Second by Mr. Wood. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes carry the day. Thank you so much for your participation here today.